guys, this is Eve. Thanks for tuning into my YouTube channel. This channel is dedicated to exploring various topics of metaphysics, looking at them from a very occult standpoint. A lot of my videos I do nowadays are for what you would call the 144,000, or people who have Rh negative blood, right? So they refer to as the 144,000 in the Bible. But people have Rh negative blood. They represent 15% or less of the world's population. If you are black, then you represent 4% or less of the world's population. Okay, so it's a very small fraction of people. So a lot of people, I try to put a disclaimer out there. A lot of people will not resonate with this information because you're basically like 1 in a million, basically. So you know, I don't know. With that being said, excuse me, I really want to focus on talking about grounding, right, and being grounded. This is very important during this time because, you know, when you are Rh negative, right, your consciousness is past your 33rd vertebrae in your back. It has gone into your head, right? They call it in the New Age the Godhead, whatever the case is, and so it has ascended up to your third eye. Okay, so with that being said, it's important that you try to descend your consciousness back down, because when your consciousness is getting into your head, this is like getting to death, or death of your ego. But you know, life starts in your root, right? Your root chakra. Like everybody has gotten here from the root, from the sexual act. Okay, and so this is where life begins. And so if your consciousness is getting excuse me, I don't know why I keep coughing, but you're getting past the the vertebrae in your back into the pineal gland or what have you, then this is going towards your crown, and eventually when you reach crown, then you actually give up the mind, body, and soul. Okay, or I should say the mind and body. I should say the soul pretty much remains, but you know, what I'm saying is that it's an imbalance. It actually represents an imbalance in consciousness. You know, everybody's trying to balance their root, get in touch with their root, which is life, right? The tree of life, whereas this is the tree of knowledge, you know. And so I really like to allude back to childhood, when we're first born. Okay, when we are first born into the world, we are we're given milk, right? Every time we actually, you know, descend here into earth reality, we're given milk. And so we're given milk to calcify the pineal gland. Babies are always born here crying. Okay, they're crying. Why are they crying? Because they have a lot of connection to the spiritual world. Seeing into the spiritual world can be very scary. Very scary. Like literally, sometimes I see devils jump out of people. And, you know, sometimes it's angels, you know, it depends. Sometimes it's okay to see devils because I'm not in the, you know, a very positive, you know, frame of mind. But, you know, if I'm not in a very positive frame of mind, I see an angel, then it conflicts with my energy as an empath, you know. So if you don't know what an empath is, I strongly suggest that you look that up or whatever the case is. But anyway, you know, I really want to talk about you know, grounding, because of the fact that children really try to super duper ground themselves. You know, they really try to ground themselves when they're born. You know, they're very materialistic, or what you would call quote unquote satanic, right? So Satan is referring to Saturn, right? In astrology, Saturn is the planet of manifestation, whatever the case is. Accumulation is the earth sign, right? And so even if you look at Saturn astrologically, the axis of Saturn does not turn. And so it just stays fixed there. And so because it's not turning, right, because all planets are supposed to turn, right, or, you know, all aspects of the planet are supposed to turn, I suppose, but it doesn't. The axis of Saturn doesn't. So we call this Satan. And so, like, Christmas is coming up, whatever the case is, and so kids are looking forward to Santa. But if you rearrange Santa, it spells Satan, okay? So, what am I trying to say here? You know, kids are really trying to ground themselves. That's why kids don't really like vegetables. Vegetables carry a lot of DMT, and so the research shows that When you die, your body releases a lot of DMT, which is like connected to LSD, right? The subconscious, people having trips or bad trips or whatever the case is. So, excuse me, what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say that as you're getting older, right, and you are ascending to your pineal, you're going back to childhood. And so the things that scared you, you know, having nightmares and, just, I guess, trying to ground yourself is going to be more difficult. You have to rely on your parents and stuff like that, and your earthly masters to ground yourself. And so, in lots of ways, because you're becoming so feminine, then you are going to try to rely on other people oftentimes to get your physical needs met. All right. And they purposely do that because with a Jew, the intersecting triangles of David is what represents a Jew, right? The masculine and the feminine. But they want to make women strictly feminine, and they want to make men strictly masculine. And they want to do that in order to make you slaves here. They don't want you to be gods or masters of your own fate. And so because of that, they're really pushing this campaign to separate the energies and make them very polarized. Okay, but children are very much connected more so to their spiritual selves. They have the most will, right, or soul or solar plexus, right? Solar means sun, and the soul is the Son of God, right? When you see Jesus in the occult, oftentimes he's depicted with his heart in chains. And so your soul is what you want to do. Like kids will kick and scream, for a toy or for, I don't know, whatever, you know what I mean? They'll do whatever they possibly can to make sure that they get what they want. And so this is your time, 144,000, to kick and scream to get what you want. If you don't, and you don't ground yourself, then you can transition out. And so we have a lot of issues mentally, physically, and emotionally because of the imbalance of the protein in our blood, and our consciousness ascending up to our Godhead or whatnot. And so you get a totality of existence, but it's important to have that balance. Like in the Emerald Tablets, it talks about, Thoth talks about how you should balance the North Pole, right, which is your crown, to your South Pole, which is your root, okay? It's not good to have too much life or too much, death, so to speak. It's best to actually balance them, but they want us to be very much imbalanced here. And so, childhood is an indication of that. Kids, they kick and scream and they're always crying and stuff like that because they want to ground themselves. And the milk calcifies, like I said, the pineal gland to do this. Now, the problem with RH negatives is that we've been reincarnated so many times, and the soul has so many different impressions upon it, that it develops crystals, right? In the New Age, you hear them talk about the crystal children. Well, they're talking about the crystals that accumulate within the pineal gland after each lifetime, because every time you're born here, you're given milk, okay? And so eventually those crystals, they become clustered or whatever, I believe, and they respond to electromagnetic fields. And so you can't escape the electromagnetic field within our environment, okay? You can't escape it. And so because you can't escape this, you basically are like an energy whore, basically. You're so stimulated mentally that you lose touch with your body, and so they purposely do this or whatnot, and it affects the crystal children, or what you would call the 144,000, or people who are transitioning out, playing Pisces, a lot of Pisces energy, right? Like, for example, you'll see, like cars have like the fish at the back of it, right? With the cross in the middle. So Pisces represents in the occult Christ, or the chosen, or the sacrifices, or what have you. Okay, like if you look at Ralph Smart's, Infinite Waters, you'll see he has only one triangle. He doesn't have an intersecting triangle, right? So it means that the person is absolutely either masculine or feminine, right? And he has the astrological symbol for Pisces over that one triangle. So he's basically telling you, in a way that he's against the Jews, because the Jews are the Star of David, right? The Jews represent the Star of David. Let me go get the Star of David. Okay. Let me grab this Star of David for you. Okay. So the Jews represent the Star of David. Okay, so this is the Star of David right here. And so with my Star of David, I have the zodiac sign around it. So it has an eye in the middle, right, which represents the sun basically, or Ra, the all-seeing eye. And then it represents the aspects of the zodiac, right, that is going around the eye. You see that this is a six-pointed star, which are two intersecting triangles. So people who have like infinite waters, who have like one triangle, and they have Pisces, whatever, they're telling you that you're a sacrifice. They're going to make you half of yourself. It's like a lobotomy. It's like either you're masculine or you're feminine. You don't have an embodiment of both energies. And so instead of being a god and making a conscious effort or a choice, you have to be led by your nature. So a man is led to be with a woman, or a woman is led to be with a man. But I feel like there's this campaign going out lately concerning what is it? There's just this campaign lately concerning what is it? Women being very feminine or men being very masculine, and they're doing that to destroy the Jews. Okay, it's like basically like this quote unquote CIA psyop program, whatever the case is. And so for me, I can see right through it with my pineal gland. You know what I mean? It's very stupid, but they're really trying to get rid of the Jews. They will do anything they possibly can to paint us out to be crazy, or alien, or whatever the case is. And so there's a lot of fear that's centered around Jews and the power that we actually carry. Okay, so I really want to point out that grounding is most important. Descending your energy down the spine, away from the pineal gland, more into your soul, or your solar plexus, which is your desire, what you want to do. Okay, what you want to do. But as clairvoyants, that is very difficult, especially when you are functioning from your pineal, and so many things, so much information, it's hard to go back to the superficial anymore. You know what I mean? Because you've experienced all those different avatars of the zodiac already. But as clairvoyants, we're very special. Like my daughter, she's very special. She's a clairvoyant as well. She's a Pisces in Western astrology. And she, when I first had my daughter, it was not a normal birth. It was not a normal birth. I had a condition that only happens in 1 to 2% of pregnancies. And so I can't remember the long name of it, but basically, I obtained too much amniotic fluid. And so because of that, when they broke my water, it was like parting the Red Sea or some shit like that. It took the doctor, my ex-husband, and 2 nurses to clean up all the water. I lost 10 pounds instantly. Within 6 weeks, I lost 50 pounds. So overall, within 8 weeks, I should say, I lost 60 pounds in 8 weeks. So that goes to show that our pregnancies are not normal, whatever the case is. When my daughter was born, the nurses were like, "Why is she looking at us like that?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know her, yet myself, so I don't really know why she's looking at you like that." But the thing is that kids are very clairvoyant, and so they really try to ground themselves in order to reach a certain level of stability so they can survive in the world. And so as arch negatives, we go back to that point where we have to ground ourselves, go back down the spine. And sometimes with Pisces, right, we can end up being very I guess what you would say, what's the word, we can end up in very bad situations, being drug addicts, being alcoholics, being what is it, like sex fiends and nymphomaniacs and stuff like that, because we're trying to get in touch with the body, right? And so we're trying to drown out the psychic abilities that we have, because we know that with the psychic abilities that we have, they don't necessarily serve us like, you know, we need them to. We have to live in the mundane world. We have to work a job. We have to, you know, cook and clean and these types of things. You know, we have to, you know, just do normal things. And sometimes we can seem to be a little bit abnormal to people, right? Even in terms of like our motor skills and stuff like that. Like as babies don't really have very what you would say good motor skills, because they're processing a lot of information. So as RH negatives, we process a lot of information, and so that is detrimental on the body. And so we start to even look a little alien to people. It's like, what is that? You know? So it's very difficult. I have to very much make a conscious effort sometimes, even when I have conversations with people, to not read their aura. Like I have to say, okay, you know what? Don't read so-and-so's aura. Just focus on superficially what they're saying. But it's very difficult, you know, to take the ego at face value and that's it, and not go deeper. Okay. So really, I think for the most part, that's what I really want to talk about here. You know, I want to talk about grounding, how it's important, how, you know, if you're not grounding yourself, it can have issues mentally, physically, emotionally. And anything at the grounded physical level can be changed, right, from the metaphysical. Everything in our physical reality comes from the metaphysical. And so it doesn't matter what you have. It doesn't matter what your ailment is or what your circumstances are or whatnot. It can always be fixed. But the thing is, the catch to this is that it has to be granted by your higher self. We're always under the upper hand of the higher self. You see what I'm saying? And so we're always wrestling with it. It's like in the Bible, it talks about Jacob and how he wrestled with God, and so he became Israel. So basically, you know, we wrestle with the subconscious. If we win that competition, so to speak, then we gain our inheritance. But, you know, they're definitely trying to take the inheritance of the 144,000, definitely trying to disinherit us. So we do not receive the tree of life, but the tree of knowledge, which leads to reincarnation and death. Okay. And so that's their whole intention, in facilitating this environment, which is hell. That's why we say hello. You know, basically. So I really think that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about here, and just to kind of send some words of encouragement. And you know, I'm a woman, you know, and for women, you know, I want women to know that you can go beyond what you look like, and you know, go beyond you know, what the world tells you to be, and you know, to be that man, to try and fight like hell for that inner child, which is masculine for women and which is feminine for men. But fight for that inner child within yourself, because it is the child that is God. And so we want to not die and go to heaven, you know, to be God, but we want to actually be God on earth and bring heaven to earth. And so this is why I fight so much for myself, and I fight for my people. And, you know, I hope that the world will have to, you know, respect us, and have to, and love us, and to, I guess, basically, come to judgment about what is being done. You know, I feel like with the Jews, we're always brought to judgment about so many things, but, you know, it's time for the creations to be God, and for the creator to be a slave. Okay. Because you can't judge your creation unless you judge yourself. So I feel that, you know, really, to be honest with you, you can't be God sometimes. You know, you have to be God all the time. And so if you're God all the time, then you will actually, you know, receive that judgment for your creation. So, you know, that's some food for thought, whatever the case is. But, you know, 144,000, enjoy some good food, right? Some good sex. You know, enjoy some good, anything that's with the sensations of the body. Anything to get you into the body, you know, good smells, candles, things like that. those things are always you know, really good in terms of the five senses, because your sixth sense is on steroids. At least I know mine is. Okay, all right guys, so I will see you in my next video.